Is that coming up as recording? Yeah, awesome. Okay, so we'll make a start. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in for tonight's virtual masterclass, all about video production. And we're super excited to have Adam Dismore join us tonight, an alumni of the university. Adam's now a freelance filmmaker and director of his very own company, Dizzy Media TV. He's joining us just a mere days after coming back from a work trip filming in Russia on the tennis ATP and in Belgium filming some racing. So we really appreciate you taking the time today, Adam, to share about your journey, give us a bit of an insight into the industry and some top tips for success to help you guys if you're thinking about getting into it as well. So just a couple of housekeeping points before we get started. If you can keep your microphone on mute during the presentation, it would be really appreciated. I should have just seen we are recording the session, so we want it to flow as smoothly as possible, not only for you, but those people rewatching it on the playback as well. But do feel free to get involved, ask questions through the conversation chat tab, and we'll get to those at the end. And if you do cut out, lose connection, you have to leave, or maybe you even know a friend that has missed this session or somebody from your group, if you're on that comms and support module. We will be getting a recording of it and then sharing that out to everyone who registered and sharing it to Michael, so he can then disseminate that too if you do need to go and watch it back. So and yeah, so without further ado, I'll hand over to you, Adam.
Thank you, Matt. Good evening, everybody. I hope you can all take something from this which will be of value to you going forward. From personal experience, I know how important it can be speaking to, listening to, and also getting advice from others in a field which you want to go into. I'm here today because of that, having talks early on in my career. So yeah, I hope there are some bits in here which can be of value to you. So as Matt mentioned, I'm a freelance filmmaker, director of my own company. Been doing that for the last 3 years since leaving Loughborough University, specialising in sports, and I've worked for a range of organisations and projects from tennis ATP, the Olympics, through to football, racing and various others. So I think we'll go straight into it. Afterwards, we'll be sharing the slides with you. So if you'd like to have an idea of what I've been making over the last couple of years, feel free to watch my show reel. It's quite short, so to give you a flavour of some of the things I've been shooting over the last couple of years. There are some cringy photos in here, so I apologise for those in advance. As a quick bit about me, I arrived in 2013 at Loughborough to study sports science. Now, it's actually only a few months into my degree I realised that science wasn't for me, but I love the university and I love sport. So I had to pivot a bit and think, what could I do? And so I signed up to the Coach and Volunteer Academy. I tried a few things, performance analysis, marketing, and none of those really kind of struck me. But then I tried video making and it just clicked straight away. And from there, I made a couple of promotional films for the sports teams, and the feedback I received where they enjoyed it and they got a buzz, gave me a buzz in turn, and a bit like a drug, I became addicted to it. And from there, it really grew. And by my final year, I was producing commercial work as a freelancer for organisations outside of the university, while still working for the uni and all their big sports events, creating films and winning Media Marketing Volunteer of the Year, which you see in that picture there with Jacob Roach. So where am I now? The picture you see on the right is a much better date than the award with Jacob. That's my girlfriend, and that's me receiving my first film award for a motorsport film I produced last year. So I am, as I said, a freelance filmmaker, digital producer, content creator. There are many terms for it, but in essence, I create visual material for television, broadcast, and digital. Director of my own company, and for me, the most important thing that I wanted to achieve going into work was to travel. And I've been lucky to have been to 5 continents now, over 50 countries, having worked for Sky, BBC, Sunset and Vine in all manner of sports, from racing to boxing, rugby, cycling, swimming, you name it. And to me, variety is very important. And so, yeah, I'll kind of go into how I arrived at this point and what I think some of the keys were to that, to help you guys if you feel like you want to go into a similar field. So first of all, why become a video producer? I think there are countless reasons for doing this. It's an extremely rewarding and satisfying career. First of all, no day is the same. You can work on a 24-hour race one weekend and go straight to a stage cycle like the Tour de France the week after. Every day is different. You are constantly learning. You are constantly experiencing different things and meeting different people. Sports people, I find, I do a lot of work with, are interesting people. They're big characters, they've got great stories, and they're a real joy to be around. So sport and being a video producer gives you opportunities to be around and be among some amazing people and go to some really, really cool places. Also, it's something you can always grow in. So video producing, you can improve day on day, hour by hour. There's always something to learn, something to become better at. And that is rewarding in itself, seeing you improve and your skill set, and it's tangible as well. You can see in the difference of your videos from the most basic ones I made when I first started out at Loughborough, which I look back now and I cringe, but we all start somewhere. I see how it's developed since in the films I'm making now. To see that progress over such a short window is a really satisfying thing. So that's important in terms of satisfaction. Like I mentioned earlier, traveling the world. Sport does give you that, especially video production. You can travel with teams privately, you can travel for broadcasters. An ambition of mine was to always travel, and I've been amazed at the amount I managed to get in. So 50 countries, 2 to 3 years, that's a lot of traveling. And I've seen some fantastic locations. I've been in 5-star hotels, to slums, and you grow a lot through the process. And that's probably one of the most satisfying parts of the job. The access you get, if you are sports fans like I am, I'm mad on sports, going to Loughborough. The access you get to sports stars and sports events is unparalleled. There is nothing else like it unless you are a support staff. So a team member, a coach, a physio. After them, you get the best access. You are in the gyms with them before the matches. You are pitch side when it's going on, whether it be a Champions League match, whether it be those moments before a Grand Slam semi-final, where I was lucky enough to be in the gym with Nadal before he played. And yeah, that access is, you can't buy it. But somehow you find it amazing the fact you're paid to be there when you are with these people, getting that sort of access. So yeah, the things you see as a result are phenomenal. It can pay very well. So especially if as you enter independent work with your own company, but also by being a part of an organisation. It's a unique job. Not many can do it. So yeah, there is a good price tag attached if you work hard and you continue to improve and push as far as you can. And then finally, it is an addiction. Like I said earlier, video making, be prepared if you go into this field, which is very rewarding, to put a lot of hours in. You want to improve, you want to make better material, you see what other people are making, you want to do the same. It is addictive. You want to continue doing it all the time. It becomes a part of you and very rewarding itself, but be prepared to put the hours in. So how it all got started for me was, in my final year, I knew I wanted to go into video making. So at that point, I sat down and, similar to what is happening right now, I talked to people who are video makers. I was lucky in that there were a couple at Loughborough who worked for the university who were exceptional video producers. And I talked to them. I wanted to know more about the field, where I could go, what was available to me. And through those conversations, a lot of reaching out, a lot of networking, sending emails, asking for interviews, asking to get in the rooms with people. I was rejected a few times. That we have to all be prepared for. But a couple of them stuck. And in those couple of meetings, I sat down, showed them the work I'd done so far, and it was enough to convince them that I had something about me. And that was purely through putting myself out there, really, really reaching out and putting myself in those places to have an opportunity, which is the most important thing you can do as a video producer and filmmaker, is reach out to people, network, have a think where you want to work, where you'd like to go, and then I'll come on to in a bit, find a gatekeeper, find someone who can help you get in there, and I'll come on to that shortly. So yes, I did a lot of reaching out, and I got in a room twice with the right people, and they offered me contracts to give me year-long work, traveling the world, making films, which the first job was a dream. But that was purely a mixture of hard work by finding those people, and then also luck. being in the right place at the right time. So that's all part of being proactive, which is one of the most important things, again, about being a producer. You need to be proactive. You need to be thinking. You need to take matters into your own hands and go and search. Volunteering, work experience, that was so important as well, because by doing that voluntary work for Loughborough, I had a portfolio of work. I had produced things for rugby teams, football, different manners of projects, and in so doing, I had work to show people, and that was enough to give me opportunities. That's one of the most important things you can do. It's your CV, it's your calling card. Build a portfolio, get work to your name, and take it somewhere. It doesn't have to be award-winning. It doesn't have to get millions of views on YouTube. The more you make, the better you get. And some of the work, people will see in that potential. And that's what happened with me. So it is luck and hard work. And then here I put an unlikely mentor. For me, one of those people who gave me the chance, I never imagined, I didn't know him. He's a complete stranger. And it's in a room with him that for some reason he saw some potential in me and decided to really help me out. He connected me with the right people. When they came looking for producers to work on big events and contracts, he put me forward. You know, he'd met me once, but because I showed enough in that meeting, that was enough to get me in the door with the right people. So again, it's all about seizing opportunities. Once you're in a room with people, set a good impression, keep in touch, follow up with them, and you never know where it'll take you, because you can work as hard as you want, but if you don't know the right people, then you can fall short. So be selective and reach out. And also persist, persevere. You deal with a lot of rejection. You know, a lot of emails won't be read, a lot of calls won't be taken, but those couple that are will be the difference. So keep on pushing. So the lessons I've learned from, so once I got into the industry, through that luck and hard work, and I've worked in it since, I've seen how people have successfully entered and how others haven't, and have left soon after. So these are my tips to you. Read around the industry, pay attention to what's happening in terms of new trends, developments. So within video production, if Nike go and make a brilliant advert, watch it, see what they've done differently to other people. Reference that when it comes to your meetings, show an enthusiasm, show you really kind of take an interest in what's happening in the field you're working in. Be aware of who's out there, who the big players are, which I'll come on to shortly as well. In sports production, there are a few giants of production who own the rights to loads and loads of events, have loads of producers, large bases. Be aware of who they are, be aware of what they do, who they're in competition with, and what room you have to operate around. So basically be aware of the field you're going into, take an interest in it, learn about it, see what's happening, see where it's moving, see what great work is out at the moment. That'll really help you when it comes to meetings to show you have a real enthusiasm for what you get into. Gatekeepers. So I mentioned earlier, and these are so important. These are the people who will let you in to the door or not. They are people who will give you time with the right people or will shut you out. So my gatekeeper was that mentor I mentioned who took a liking to me. And with that situation, the people you want to identify in a company, if you want to go and join them as a producer, are usually the production coordinators or production managers. So if you go on LinkedIn, and we'll use an example of BT Sport, who are recruiting a lot of producers at the moment, you'll put in BT Sport production coordinator. Look through the list, and whoever you can connect with them. Drop them a message, send them some portfolio, CV, and interest in working for them one day. What can you do in the meantime to make it happen? Now, be prepared for rejection. Not all will apply to you, but those that do could be the way in. It could be your gatekeeper. Yeah, you need to read around the company. You need to see who's relevant. Sometimes go for specific producers as well, producers and assistant producers. If you have an interest in cycling at Eurosport, for example, find out who the senior producer for cycling is. Hit them up, drop them a message. You need to target relevant people. And I'll go more into that later. It's all about relevance. Don't reach out to the CEOs and directors. I mean, that'll get lost in noise. You need to be going after the people who are in charge of production or that show. And we've been through rejection and also better opportunities around the corner. This is especially true when you're in an interview or you're looking to get lined up for a job and it falls through. You can feel heartbroken. You can feel like that was an opportunity for you. Where do you go now? It won't be as good next time. There are so many opportunities out there. There are so many chances out there. And in my experience, there are better things around the corner. I got rejected from a role at IMG as a junior production assistant, and it seemed perfect at the time. Didn't happen for me, and I was a bit distraught. But then 2 weeks later, I landed the dream job, which was a much better proposition. And that's just an incentive to keep going. Never mind if you don't get the first one, the first couple, it will come. You keep pushing and make it happen. So a short explanation of the industry of video production, especially with regard to sport. It's gone through a major shift over the last few years, which provide a lot of opportunities. Traditionally, sport production has been all centered around broadcast television, where everyone's had a specific role, whether it be a cameraman, editor, producer, director, you name it. What we're seeing in the last few years is a massive shift to digital, online, social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And as a result, we're seeing a lot of resource funneled towards that. And that has led to the rise of what they call the predator. So where once they looked for specialized roles, now that's become outdated and they want people who can offer the full process. So when it comes to video making, you shoot the video, you edit the video, and then you finally produce it. The planning, scripting, if you can look after that as well, perfect. But the main things which I'd suggest getting across now or going forward and working on is your shooting skills, your editing, and then final production. So color grading, sound, all that. Those are the people that are gold at the moment. All the big companies want more of these people. That's what I did at university in my final year. I worked on everything. I saw where it was heading, but also through talks like tonight with people more experienced than me, they told me as well where the industry is heading. They're looking for people, jack of all trades, who can do the full process. So that's what I concentrated my last year of university on, becoming a master of the process as much of it as possible. And you make yourself to be versatile, to offer the full production. The benefit of that to companies is rather than paying for a cameraman, an editor, and a producer, 3 different rates, they're paying one person to do it. So the benefit to them is massive, which means they're really searching for them. So if I was offering advice to people who want to become video producers now, it's try and learn as much about the full process as possible, because that is gold to companies and that is in demand. And also the predator, which is producer, director, editor, comprised into one. They are often called upon more for international work. So if you want to travel with your work, then you are more likely to get travel with your work if you can do the full process. Because again, on site, it costs a lot of money to fly people out, their accommodation and everything else. They want a reduced crew, someone who can perform multiple roles. So if you can offer that, then they'll go for you. So you're guaranteed more trips, more ways around the world, more events. Not saying that you shouldn't become a specialist cameraman. They are still very much relevant, and they're still well paid, great roles, highly sought after. But for sure, the predator, that is where the real attention is now at the moment. So I would suggest doing as much on that as possible. So I'm not the finished article. I've got a lot to learn. And I would just say, though, from what I've achieved so far, and also from watching successful operators, there are a few things I've seen which certainly help you, in your case, to become a good producer and to get in with the big companies. We've talked about being versatile, covering as many parts of the process as possible, so working on skills across any discipline. It can all be daunting at first, it can be. I remember expecting myself to learn how to edit, do sound, grade, but it's addictive. You enjoy it. You love learning. You love taking on more, being better. So it very quickly builds, and you quickly take on more and more. And so doing, you're a better proposal to people. So try and be versatile, be hungry to learn. This is probably one of the most important things to becoming a better filmmaker and producer, is watching other people's work, wanting to be as good, taking ideas from them and applying it to your own work. It's all about inspiration. There's no such thing as an original idea. So again, take from that, watch what the people are doing. They can be single filmmakers or whole production companies, but you can take something from that. You see a brilliant Nike advert, how did they shoot it? Okay, what was the look? You know, how was it graded? How was it set up? What's the soundtrack like? Take from that, try and integrate it into your own work, and push and push and push to become as good, if not better, than others around you. There are a few filmmakers I strive to be as good as. I'm always watching their work to see how I can apply it to my own work and also develop it. So be hungry to learn. Also, and this applies to all things, but especially production, it's important to be a good team player, especially when you travel and go abroad. It's so important to be sociable and positive. It's not essential. You can do without it. But in my experience, when you are abroad, when you spend a lot of time with people on the road, you see them the whole day, you see them in the hotel, you see them for breakfast, for lunch, dinner, for a whole week, maybe longer. If you're not a positive energy to be around, then they will replace you. So it's important to be nice, happy, upbeat, positive, and a contributor. Those people that come again, those people that are called upon, that are always asked to work for them again. And fundamentally as well, video production lends itself to those attributes, because to get the best content out of people, athletes, talent, actors, they're not going to do it with people who are necessarily awkward or who are difficult or a bit shy. You know, you need to kind of, yeah, be a smiley, happy, upbeat face, which can, yeah, bring that good content out of them. Not essential, but in my experience, very helpful. Say yes to things and learn later. If someone comes to you with a request and you don't have to do it yet, that opportunity maybe once in a lifetime. Say yes and learn later. Go and research straight after it. The amount of jobs I've winged, that I've gone into not having a clue, but made it work, and then as a result become much better at it, made some good contacts, got some great gigs, and it's gone from there. You know, I can't count how many. So say yes to things, put yourself out there, be ready to test yourself, get out of your comfort zone, because in so doing, you will improve yourself, improve your skill set, and allow yourself opportunities which you wouldn't otherwise get. So yes, put yourself out there and be proactive, always look at opportunities. I'm always thinking, what haven't I done? What sports would I like to work in? Would I like to work with? What would I like to do? And then when I get time, I try and make it happen. Reach out to those people, create connections, show them what I can do. So always be thinking where I like to go and try and make it happen. Build a portfolio of what you've been through, to share work to people. At the most basic level, it doesn't matter if it's amateur, that's where we all start. It's so important to start somewhere and get it going. And that led to my first few pieces of work, and I was very proud at the time. Now I find it hard to look at, but again, it's evolution. You know, you have to build. So start from the bottom, work your way up, but show people work, show them your interests, what you like doing. And yeah, again, demonstrate interest around the area. Be someone who's passionate, who's enthusiastic, who wants to do well, who wants to tell a story. Films are won by directors, not necessarily who have the best talent, but who buy into the film more than anybody else. If you're someone on set who believes it will work, who has a genuine passion for it, who really buys into what's going on, that can be so much more valuable than an Oscar-winning cameraman. Be a positive energy. Be someone who wants to make it happen. those are the people that, yeah, are asked to come back time and time again. And again, just pay attention to what's happening in the industry. Just keep an eye on what other people are doing. Competitors, other filmmakers, better production companies. Just see what they're doing, how you can apply it, how you can learn from it. So watch a lot of stuff, basically. Watch a lot of videos. Okay, this picture was taken very recently of me. It was last weekend, 2 in the morning, and 24-hour race. I actually booked it down in Belgium. I'm actually using a bin liner as a rain cover because I lost mine. But it, for me, represents what you need to be prepared for, which is long hours. Video making can be long. It can, filming can be from 6 in the morning until, 2 the next morning. It's always changing, it fluctuates, but it's a demanding job, but so rewarding, because you make something in the end which you contribute to, which is your work, and you can also make people feel something. I didn't mention this earlier, but one of the main reasons why I got involved in film is I wanted to make people feel something. I want them to be excited about something, aware of something, to anticipate, to feel proud of an achievement which is documented. Video making is a unique gift in that you can make people feel something. You can give them an impression, which you can't just do in a lot of the jobs. So that is a gift in itself, but it takes many hours of hard work, of graft, filming loads of things, getting that perfect shot takes time, but so rewarding in the end. Which is all about being committed to your craft, wanting to improve, wanting to get better, wanting to stay out in the freezing cold for that one better shot. That makes a film. That makes a real operator. Be made to learn from others, always looking for inspiration. Hard work is a must. If especially if you want to go into owning your own business as a production company, which I'm doing now, it takes a lot of hard work, but again, the rewards are there. So, but be prepared to really put shift in. Again, we talked about being sociable and good to be around, being proactive, and then the whole driven to be the best. I would say, because it is an addictive pastime, you do find that you want to constantly improve and be better than other producers, which is a good thing in that your work does improve. You do push yourself and try to be a perfectionist, but it can also, get you down at times if you're thinking, why is my work not as good? How are they so much better? So it's a case of trying to manage your expectations as well. Be aware they're more experienced than you. Be aware they've been working for longer than you've been working. And just keep making those steps and you'll get there. Okay, so as some tips to you guys, if you want to go into video production, where would you like to look? Where is good to go? Who's looking for people? So the first one, I've put some examples there for big production companies who recruit a lot of producers, all levels, a lot of entry levels. So you have Sunset and Vine, who do a lot of work in cricket, in rugby, around the Olympics. IMG, you do a lot of work in Premier League football, and in cycling, swimming, rugby, all sorts. They are across everything. Engage, very rugby centred. Aurora, motorsports. Whisper, football, and Noah have made some amazing documentaries recently. And you've got Sky and Eurosport do everything. So they will have programs for graduates to get involved entry level. They'll also have internships as well for a few months. I want to engage, which is very worthwhile. So research them, see what schemes they have. If you are entry level, or if you're middleweight, again, reach out to their production coordinators, their managers, to see what roles there are in specific teams. As some examples. But also, there are many smaller companies who are independent who do brilliant work. Again, it's a case of going and finding them. But the benefit of working for them is you have more responsibility. You do more work and you grow a little bit quicker. You may not get as many exciting projects to work on, but they are more likely to give you a job where you operate a camera than we may start out at Sunset and Vine and you start by running around copying over cards for the people. So yes, production companies which are a bit smaller can be a big bonus to you as well if you'd like to get more hands-on, and yeah, try your hand at various things quickly. Also, clubs, teams, the football clubs, for example, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, all of them have large in-house video teams. They are constantly looking for more operators. So look to them as well. If you love football, then go into that. That's a great place to start. Getting the access is unreal. You can be in your first year and you can be attending all the first team training sessions. And yeah, being around stars you watch and you aspire, or you idolize. So yeah, they are all very accessible. There's loads of roles and opportunities. Again, it's all about finding those gatekeepers, just researching, seeing the person to talk to is, which is usually a production manager or coordinator, or going after specific producers within teams, and then join Facebook groups. Join groups for networking. So whether it be operating groups, camera groups, inside sport groups, yeah, join them. And also, that's a good way of finding jobs where people say, look, this company is searching for an operator. So yeah, just look into what groups are out there for video production. There are loads and loads. I couldn't list them here because there are so many, but helpful to be part of a few of them. Okay, so here we'll go into the more technical aspects of the job. So again, I know how daunting it can be. I don't consider myself the most technical of people at all, really, but somehow talented in this. Now, we're lucky in that there are a few main platforms, but the three main ones are for editing: Premiere Pro, Final Cut, and Avid. Now, I'd focus on the first two: Premiere Pro, Final Cut. Brilliant platforms. I use both of them, and you get free trials, which helps get the basics, the fundamental understandings of how they work. And then once you pass a free trial, you get student rates, and which is about £20 a month, which is an absolute steal, because Premiere Pro, for example, is used to cut Hollywood films. Deadpool in the corner there, which is hard to see, that was cut on Premiere Pro. This is a software which transcends all levels. People at entry level use it, right up to the big hitters. So nothing changes. Unlike other areas or other industries where you have to keep buying and buying and buying to go up levels, Premiere Pro, Final Cut, they are always there. Once you've mastered them, that's it. You're flying. It's always there. You don't need to get anything else, but there's always more to learn. So some quick tips. I don't have enough time to go into editing processes, but some quick tips on the most basic skills when it comes to editing. First of all, organizing media. Say you go to a shoot and it's a promo for a rugby team, and then you got build up in the gym, you then got stuff in the tunnel, then out on pitch to celebrations. First thing you should do within your project, your editing project in Premiere Pro or Final Cut, create folders which are called bins, and just make sure everything's neat. Make sure you know that that folder there is for all my match action. That folder there is for all the atmosphere, all the crowd. You don't want to sift through loads and reels of footage trying to find the right clips. So yeah, try and keep it neat, keep it organized. It'll make life much easier for you down the road. Be super organized with it. Create loads of folders. Really helps. Again, same thing when it comes to music, sound effects, graphics, animations. Keep it separate. In terms of how it works, if you look to the left, you'll see blocks on top of each other, and to the left of that, V1, V2, V3. Beneath that, A1, A2. V is for video, A is for audio. So it works by layers, and you go from 1 to 5. You don't need 1 to 5. Sometimes you need just 1. On the first level, you always want to put the most essential footage, maybe interviews, and then you work around that. And you can build on layers. So on the level above that, basically that footage sits on top of layer 1, and that can be graphics. So layer 1 is an interview, for example. Layer 2 is a caption, the name of that interviewee. That sits on top. That's how it works. It works as blocks, and you build on them. And some projects you can see 20 layers because they're very sophisticated. Others, just 2. It depends on the project. Audio is the same. You work down and you can put your music tracking, or audio level 1, which is the most basic, and then beneath that your sound effects, your kicks, your stabs, your all sorts. They go into level 2. So yeah, there's loads of technical things to get into, which I won't do now, but there are loads of YouTube tutorials. That's how I cracked it. Watch tutorials. It's all on YouTube. People have laid out all for you, which is very kind of them. They'll give you the most basic things to the more advanced. As soon as you get your free license to play around, watch some tutorials. They're very short and very quickly. It's very intuitive. You'll get a good sense of how it works. An important point to go into is music. So you're all aware of rights and licenses. If you go and use a Kanye West track on your video, it'll be put down straight away and you get in trouble for it. So music, you need to have the rights to it, and there's various music providers out there. There are loads, so many catalogs. Some are great, some are a bit naff. But I would suggest starting in order with some examples I put at the bottom there. And they go from left to right in terms of cost. Audio Network, Epidemic Sounds are great places to start, and they are pretty cheap, give you really quality music, and that's why I started, and there's a lot of range there. And then Artlist is also one I put in there, which I forgot. It's another great one. That's a very recent addition to the catalogue of music, and it's perfect. It's very, very good. £100 for the year, £200 between the two, and you get a great range of music to go for. And then you go through the stages: premium beats, more expensive, more premium. You hear those tracks and adverts, right up to Music Bed, which is about £1,000 for the year, but there's some brilliant tunes in there. So but always make sure you get your music from a legitimate source, which gives you the rights. Otherwise, you'll get into hot water later. Shooting fundamentals. So again, it's very technical. Don't have too much time to go into it, but when we're setting up an interview, for example, you want to frame it, and I'll show you the next slide quickly on the matter of interviews. So you see here, this is how to set up an interview, where you have the upper chest and the face in shot, with the eyes looking into the right there with the empty spaces. The more space there is, you want the talent or the contributor looking into that zone. So lighting, you can see the light at the back there. It's very important as well. Usually have 3 lights. You don't always need lights, but if you want it to be a really nice looking cinematic interview, then lighting is also very important, with a 3 light setup: your key light, your fill light, and your support light. Now, depending on your level of video production, if you're just starting out, this isn't relevant. If you're a bit more advanced, this is. It's all about shooting raw. So you have 2 ways of shooting. You can shoot a manner of footage where what you shoot is what you get. So no correction afterwards. What you see in the picture is exactly what you get in the result. And then you get raw, where what you shoot is very flat, very grey. What that's doing is collecting all the information in the camera and the footage, which allows you afterwards to grade it to colour. If you want to really become an advanced editor and producer, you'll shoot more in raw, because it gives you more scope after you've shot the piece of work when you're editing to really finesse, colour, jazz it up, make it look great. So that's one of the things I suggest experimenting with quite early on into making, which is shooting raw to give yourself more flexibility in the edits. And colouring is very fun. It's a huge world. There's always more to learn, always ways you can improve, but it's endless. Colouring is very fun, giving films a certain look, whether it be Mad Max in the desert, whether it be Saving Private Ryan, which is gritty and grey. That's all about colour, and that's a really fascinating part of the process. Very fun, which lends itself to how you shoot in raw, if you want to go into that field. And then small things such as getting the shot in focus. It may sound easy enough when you're there in the moment, but when you get the shots back later and it's not quite in focus, it's an important shot, it can be very frustrating. There are little gimmicks like peaking, which you can create, which the camera provides for you, which gives you outlines around the subject. Very easy to do, every camera has it. Just helps you to get the right focus on an image. It means you see some pink lines in your viewfinder, which you use to see the image, just so it helps you to get a reference of what's in focus and what's not. Important to do, sound amateur, but I found now more important to have, so you know afterwards everything was properly in focus. And then you have different types of shooting. When you do an interview, it's locked off. It's on a tripod. It doesn't move. You keep it there however long. Other shots are similar to that. Then you have more dynamic shooting. You put the camera on your shoulder. The camera that you see to your right is my camera, which is an ideal camera for observational work, for sport, because you can put it straight onto your shoulder. It's very dynamic. All the pans, everything else, it's light. You can get all the shots you need. Yeah, it's called the Sony FS7. And it's a fantastic camera which gives you a lot of value and it's perfect for sports shooting. Then you've got DSLRs as well, the Canon range and everything else, which is the series before that, which I used to begin with, which are very good. And yeah, I think with shooting, try and be dynamic. Moving shots are always nice. So don't be afraid to be creative with it. Get wild, get a bit loose, just it all looks fun in the end. Especially now work is digital, get online, faster cuts. Yeah, I suggest more dynamic shooting. Okay, so those were the interviewing tips. This is when it comes to, yeah, setting up interviews, when you know you're interviewing an athlete or an actor or a politician, anybody. These are general rules which apply to everything. I've asked a lot of questions, done a lot of interviews in my time, and some of them were great, some of them really weren't great at all. And here's, yeah, some very general tips, but really important. Always use open-ended questions. Never let them answer the yes or no. Let something lead on from it. If you're interviewing Messi about his move from Barcelona, say, you know, Lionel, how do you feel about the move? Simple as that, but let him provide all the answers. Don't put them in his mouth. At times, I've asked really long questions. I basically describe what's happened to the athlete and then said, discuss. I've done it already. They don't need to kind of elaborate. So let them talk, keep the questions simple, keep them really open. And once they give an answer, ask them to elaborate, ask why. That's where the best content, the best answers when they go into their own answers. Because a lot of them are trained to give very superficial ones, especially about athletes here who are media trained. They only want to give basic scripted replies. When you ask them to go into those replies, that's when it's far better. So don't be afraid to, you know, kind of prod them and ask for a bit more. And then do your research. Find out who you're interviewing. You know, you don't want to sound like someone doesn't understand what they do. You know, ask questions which are relevant, which are poignant, which are on point. So in so doing, they'll have more respect for you and they'll give you better content as well. So, sorry, I've waffled on quite a bit, but I would say from all this, some just points to highlight again with becoming a video producer. I'd start by saying that it is such a rewarding career. There are very few like it. It's something which guarantees you fresh work, different experiences. No today's the same. You're always on the road. You're always doing something. You're always seeing something new, experiencing something different, being around cool people, cool places. That's what it gives opportunity to do. The opportunities to make stories are endless. You can go and make a film about, you know, a disabled athlete who comes back from a harrowing injury, or it can be a story about one of the most successful underdog teams there is, you know, or anything outside of sports. I do about sport a lot. That's what I work in. But you know, the point is that you have so many opportunities out there to make great content, and it's always different. It's exciting, and you can choose as well where you want to work in. But be prepared to work hard. The hours are long, like I said, mainly because it becomes an addiction and you love what you do. So you're prepared to put in long hours, something you really enjoy and take pride in, because you want to become better, you want to make great things, and it takes time. And also, right at the start of it, when you're learning the basics of editing and filming, that takes time as well. It takes time, but just be fine with that. It's absolutely fine. Just give yourself that time to learn and to work and get ready, because there is no rush. You know, this field isn't going anywhere. So just, yeah, be prepared to put some work in and some time, and it will pay off. Don't worry if it's taking a while. It takes me ages sometimes to edit films, ages, longer than it should do. But when I see the results, then I understand why. You know, it just sometimes takes a bit longer than you expect, but it's all worth it in the end. Again, it's about networking. You know, the people who get the best jobs and the best contracts are usually those who've gone out and found them, who have put themselves in a position to talk with and get the attention of the right people, which just involves being very proactive, going on LinkedIn, finding those people. If you're working at an event, say you turn up and you are working for Chelsea at Champions League game and the producer of Eurosport is there, or BT, go and talk to them. Go and talk to them. It's a talking game. It's a talking game. It's a people's game. So just always be there. Be someone that's happy to talk, wanting to learn, wanting to find out more. And the amount of jobs you get from just arriving at a job, talking to someone on the day is amazing. It will surprise you. So yes, please put yourselves out there and give yourself a chance to be heard by the right people. Just pay attention to the trends, see what's happening out there, watch how it's changing, watch what new things come in, what new companies come in, and new ways of doing things. There's always new ways of filming and editing. So keep an eye on those. If you see something that's really cool, learn it, look into it, see how it's done behind the scenes, research into it, and then master it yourself. That's the most satisfying things, when you see something really great and you know you're not there at the moment, but then within a bit of time, you take it on and you learn it and it's yours as well. That's a very satisfying thing. So yeah, keep an eye out for what's happening. Again, be a yes person, be a yes person. So if someone comes to opportunity and it's not what you can do at the moment, but you know you might have it in you to do it, then just say yes. Get out your comfort zone and then learn the job. Learn it just before, go with it, wing it. You know, a lot of our job's about winging it. And it's the best way to learn sometimes. It's the best way to learn. Put yourself in the deep end. And then, if you can, find a mentor. Now, I've done that. There's a couple of guys at Loughborough I mentioned earlier in the talk who were brilliant producers. And yeah, I love their work. And I was early into what I was doing. And I asked them for tips. I asked them for ideas, what I could do to be better. And they saw someone who was keen, who wanted to improve, and then they kept an eye on my work. And as I did get better, and yeah, they saw value in it, and they got me involved in their productions, and now they've helped me land some really cool gigs. And that's all because I reached out to them, showed them I was keen, wanting to learn, and they remember you. So hang on to their coattails, because when they grow as well, you grow with them. And yeah, it's a who you know kind of business. And finally, just love it. Love what you do. It is a really fun, satisfying thing to do, video making. Yeah, addictive, but it is fun and it's different, and it's so important just to enjoy it, and you will. So yeah, I suppose now it's open to questions if you have any. I'm sorry if I've waffled on for too long.
Awesome.
Thanks for the time.
Thanks, and this is going to be a bit like one of those adverts where they one of those shows and they tell you don't go away just yet, because yeah, we do have some questions for you, I'm sure, whilst we're asking a few. Some of you guys might have a few that you wish to pop in the chat. We'll get to the ones on the chat first, and I think some of the ones that we have, if anyone does want to unmute after we've answered those ones that are in the chat now, do feel free to put your hand up first, and then we can go to you for a question. The first one Sally asked is, so you mentioned some of the producers that you aspire. Who are the producers that you aspire to be as good as, and what is it about their work that you like?
Okay. Well, there are many. Most of them are individuals, so they're freelancers like myself who've been working for longer than me. And yeah, it'd be hard to name names because there are loads, and obviously you won't be very aware of them. But the reason why I like them is because, yeah, one, they're very talented. They shoot in particular ways that I really enjoy, dynamic, which basically could sometimes make videos look like cinema. And they won't have the budget of Hollywood sets or anything else, but their work is brilliant. And so what I do is I reach out to them on Instagram, mainly Instagram, and yeah, connect to them, say to them, look, your work's brilliant. You know, it'd be great to meet for coffee sometime, meet for a drink. Got some work coming up, so I could do that, or can I go and set with you for free and just help out and see what you do? And I've done a couple of those, just free work, working with people I really admired, and yeah, now I'm working with them on co-productions. So yeah, I suppose anybody who produces good work which you're impressed by, just get in touch with them. Don't feel a competitor, don't feel like they're inaccessible. Usually they're from the same place, it's a bit further on. And I want to talk to you, and I want to help out as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, we've got another question here from Robbie. So when you first started making films for the CVA, or as part of your voluntary work, did you work in teams and learn off other people, or did you go straight into this kind of predator role that you mentioned on your own?
To begin with, it was straight into predator role mainly, just because that's what the job required. Well, not the job, but the role. There weren't many teams around, but then I joined LSU Media, and I was more team based, and I really enjoyed that. And yeah, we worked on bigger productions, where there's a couple of cameras, couple on the edit. So it was a mixture. But yeah, for sure, while I was at Loughborough, I started off doing the sole predator role, and then joined LSU Media and start working in teams as well. So it's important to be able to do both, work on your own, but also definitely work in a team. So yeah.
Awesome, thanks, and thanks for the question, Robbie, as well. I've got one as well. So I think you mentioned about being on the lookout for different ads or different things you might see in digital. What are maybe some of your favorite, or one of your favorite ads or pieces of work that you've seen, and why?
Ooh, okay. The one that came to mind straight away then was the Ronda Rousey Holmes UFC hype preview, which was a really beautiful piece of work. It didn't use any sound effects, it's pure track by Lubetsky. And yeah, it was a very different looking piece of work in just the way it was composed, how it was shot, how raw it was. And yeah, I like to look at anything that's different. I remember the Hosier Beats advert with LeBron James as well. And yeah, the Beats as well with the World Cup, the World Cup winners. So pieces of work which obviously are different, which look different. What it is to be a Londoner as well, a couple of years ago. That was fantastic. So yeah, things which are game changers, which really just stand out from the crowd. Keep an eye on those, and there are things you can take from it, even though they've spent millions on it. There are things you can take in terms of ideas. So yeah.
Awesome, great, thanks. We've got another question here. So this one's from Bethan. What device do you use to edit on, or what did you use at uni? Bethan struggles running Premiere Pro on her laptop as it's too basic or slow for it.
So yeah, that's the key. You do want a good laptop. So I would suggest, I mean, I used to use Premiere Pro on a Dell, and it just about did the job. It chugged away, just about did the job. If you're serious about it, then you do want a good laptop to go with it. So I would suggest a MacBook Pro, for example. I use Premiere. I use both Final Cut and Prem. Both are very good. I use Prem a bit more because more big production companies use it. But it's important to have a laptop which can really support it and allow it to work optimally. So it's so worth having a decent laptop to run it as well. That'll become really important for as you go further into it.
I would just add to that as well. So Bethan, within the university, I know multiple of the different IT suites that they have. Some of them do have Premiere Pro and things like the Final Cut, as the university's got like a kind of subscription to those different things. So some of the different suites, I may possibly the library one or things like Hazel Grove, but you might have to just go around and see a few, whichever ones are open. So some of them might have that software. And I know any of you that might be from the LSU Media or even thinking about a media membership, they have a suite where they edit a lot of their stuff, and that's a great place that you can go to use the equipment there. But also then if you're like got a membership and you're part of that group, then you can pick people's brains who might be also editing different stuff at the same time. I know from my experience as a student, that's something I did and found very useful.
Exactly.
Sorry, did I cut out at all there? I don't know. My screen just froze a sec.
I don't think so.
Oh, awesome. Well, I've just got another actually little question, and it was about, I think you mentioned about building your portfolio a little while back. Early lockdown, we had Joe Pinchin, who talked about the importance of it, you know, and how you go about building it. So how would you advise somebody build their portfolio, and where do you sort of host it, or how do you present it when it comes to, you know, applying for things, or when you did apply for things?
Sure. Vimeo is a great place to post videos. It's basically professional Facebook. It's where a lot of video producers, freelancers stick their work. So I create a Vimeo page. That's what I use to present it to people. It's the kind of the industry standard. In terms of what I suggest to build it, it's to try and get a bit of range on there. So different pieces of work which show different things, whether it's a short documentary, a promo. So a promo is more intense, it's more hype focused, quicker, more upbeat. And then you'll show some work which is a bit slower, more story based, so a lot of documentary. So I suppose just try and achieve a bit of a range with what you do. Show different ways of shooting and editing, different ways of capturing stories, because, you know, ultimately employers, they won't ask the same video every time. They want different ones. They want to see people who have a bit of versatility about them, which most producers do have that, because there's always different inspiration for a video. It's very rare you make the same video twice. So just try and get a bit of range, and I post it on Vimeo as well.
Awesome. Don't think we have any other questions. I do have one more as well from me, and it's about so when you're kind of creating a video or an advert, or, you know, whatever it is, do you create a bit of a storyboard as to how it's going to look, or a bit of a story, and then and how do you go about coming up with that?
Sure. It depends on the project. Sometimes you don't really have time to create a storyboard. So when you're working on events, for example, where it's fast turnarounds, you got to edit it quickly. You just go in, shoot, and then make it as cool as possible in the edit as quick as you can. Whereas for projects, you have more time, then yes, your storyboard. So you sit down, you create in your mind an idea of where you'd like it to go. You then transfer that into a script. So you'll sit there and you'll write, what images you can imagine. Sometimes you get someone to draw them for you. So it's very important to have in your mind what you want to create, which sometimes is quite loose if you kind of constrained for time. When you have more time, you can sit down and create something much more rigorous. So it certainly helps a lot to have a clear idea of what you're going to shoot and make. Shooting for the edit is a lot easier than editing and figuring out from there. So, yeah.
Awesome, thanks. Don't know, if we've got any other questions, or if anybody did want to ask the question in person, you do feel free to put your hand up. I'm just going to quickly drop. Oh, we've got something in here. Just as I was saying that, there is a feedback card, so I'll ask this other question, but do feel free, if you can click that and take the time just to fill that out. That's really appreciated. So we've got a question here from Tom. I'm considering producing a short film whilst on a 6-week-long volunteer project in Africa. Unfortunately, I won't be able to carry a bulky camera to the trip. Are there any cameras stroke shooting device that you recommend that is portable but can still give you high quality shots? Really great question.
Great question. Absolutely. So DSLRs are very good. Cameras like the AS7, Mark II, Mark III. I would say Mark II is more affordable. They're fantastic. And actually, that's what I was going to kind of come into at some point in terms of what cameras are available. So you get the bulky shoulder cameras like the one I've got, which it's great, but it's not very child friendly, and sometimes you want to be more discreet. And then you get DSLRs like the AS7, which is a great camera, very good looking image, small, versatile. But with it, I suggest getting a gimbal. So that's something I have too. I have a gimbal in AS7, and that helps you to create smooth shots. And it's not that expensive, like a DJI Ronin. So get a gimbal as well with one hand, stick on DSLR, and then that'll give you great quality content, much smaller, lighter, and it's probably perfect for that kind of film as well, by sounds of it. So I would look into that. But any DSLR will do the job. Yeah.
Awesome, thanks. Cool. still, and if you feel free, anyone, if you've got any questions. As I said though, there's the feedback card there in the chat, so do take a moment. I'll follow up the email as well with that too. Really short survey just to gain some feedback from you, so we can make sure that all the different content that we're delivering in person. But yeah, if there's no other questions from anybody, if Sally, if you've got any, or if Michael's got any either, I think we would just wrap it up there. Thanks very much, Adam.
No, it's a pleasure. I hope there's some value in there for people.
Hi, so hello everyone. No questions from me, but what I would just massively recommend, and I think Matt's going to send this round after as well, is to bring everything that Adam just said to life. Go to his website, watch his show reel. I can't tell you how cool the videos are that Adam makes, and because he's just talked about them, I'd love you guys to experience what it feels like when you watch them as well. So do go and check that out.
Yeah, there it is in the chat. And another thing, just going forward as well, if you're looking for opportunities, I couldn't massively recommend enough the opportunities that LSU Media provides. So you can find out more about what they do and how to get involved on the LSU website. And then there'll be opportunities as well, you know, media opportunities within the CVA as well. So do check out the portal if you haven't signed up to that already. There's opportunities that come up, you know, throughout the year. Or we do workshops like this that go on there too, so it's always worth checking that out as well. Brilliant. Thanks very much for your time, Adam.
Pleasure. Yeah, thank you.